What is up, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. President Trump outflanked me. So the other day, both Joe Biden and President Trump made promises to the American people. Trump speaking about, Trump was responding to Joe Biden. Joe Biden initially spoke out regarding the violence in Wisconsin from Pittsburgh. Trump responded from, I forget where he was. He responded making a short address. And in Biden's speech, what he was attempting to do was kind of question Trump's new strategy of law and order by saying, do you feel safer in Donald Trump's America? Now, I thought the speech itself was pretty flat, but I thought it was an interesting way to kind of rephrase or trying to really question whether or not Trump's position is legitimate. And then I started preparing myself to do a video about, well, perhaps rather than asking about do you feel safer in Donald Trump's America, maybe you should be asking how financially comfortable do you feel? Like, you know, Trump is going to run on economy. Economics is the number one issue that he has going for him. So if you can chip away at how people feel financially, then perhaps you're able to get something that people will resonate with. And similar to when Andrew Yang would say, while the current system, you can say that the stock market is at record numbers, maybe we shouldn't be measuring the success of the country in that way. And while Biden wouldn't necessarily go that far, he could look at where we are as a result of the pandemic. So I'd gotten this whole series of numbers that I was preparing for. And then just yesterday, he decided to push for a moratorium on evictions, which is a huge measure because it's going to push things past the election, getting that out of people's minds and providing them a little bit more relief. And I mean, really giving people or giving Congress time to get some legislation in so people can get paid so we can move past this pandemic. Since the virus was declared a pandemic, 14% of Americans said they've wiped out their emergency savings, according to a CNBC poll. Another 11% said they've had money to cover everyday expenses. And going down, we're still at 10% unemployment. And then you have to consider that housing is definitely a big issue. At the end of July, 15% of renters had accumulated rent debt, but owed their landlords less than $1,000. 11% owed between $1,000 and $2,000, and another 5% reported owing more than $2,000. So compared to homeowners, 8% reported having missed payments totaling less than $1,000, 11% between $1,000 and $2,000, and 13% owed more than $2,000. So there is a ton of uncertainty. And then the final number here is, of those surveyed, 66% of renters and 65% of homeowners said they were concerned they might face eviction or foreclosure within the next 6 months. So again, this was the video I was planning to release, but then Trump just, he came through, man. He came through, and here we are. He's proposing a moratorium. Let me get you this information. It says the moratorium was announced by the Center for Disease Control and Prevention. It's the latest measure by the administration to get a handle on the economic fallout from the pandemic. Absent an agreement with Congress on a far more reaching package that would have the force of law. To stop evictions, health officials are relying on the 1944 Public Health Service Act, which gives the administration broad quarantine powers. The moratorium, which will run through December 31st, applies to individuals earning less than $100,000 a year. $99,000 a year, who were unable to make rent or housing payments. Trump is committed to helping hardworking Americans stay in their homes and combating the spread of the virus, White House spokesman Brian Morgenstern told reporters Tuesday. So obviously saying that, this isn't going far enough. This isn't cash payments. This is only delaying the inevitable. And yes, I absolutely would agree with you on that. But the issue is, we're in an election year. You're trying to make the case that you are the people's president, that you do hear the concerns of regular Americans. And while we had been having this conversation lately regarding law and order and security and keeping the criminals, the rioters out of the suburbs, if you're also, Joe Biden is caught up. He's once again chasing the president instead of outflanking him, instead of, getting to where he's going to be before he gets there. He has to always respond. And now, once again, he has to respond regarding, oh, why didn't you say that? Why didn't you propose the moratorium? Why didn't, you know what I mean? It just creates a not good situation for Joe Biden, and it makes President Trump look like, you know what, maybe he's got control, or at least maybe he cares. And again, this is one of those issues that those undecided voters, those people who don't really have a party affiliation, the independents, the people who are like, well, I'm just kind of voting on the issues that, appeal to me. This might be one of those issues that appeals to that everyday American who's not concerned with the racial issues. They're not worried about criminal justice reform. They're not really worried about anything else. Maybe they're not really worried about, I don't know. They're not concerned. They're good. But this, maybe they have a family member. Maybe this does affect them personally. But just another way for President Trump to, just establish that, you might not like him, but perhaps he is thinking about everyday Americans. And maybe it's just an election year attempt to keep people distracted or to temporarily address these concerns. But it's very easy for you to think that, or it's very hard for you to not look and say that he's done something. Every time we've had legislation proposed by the GOP that gets denied by the House, and vice versa, this whole party politics thing, we're not really moving forward, and it's delaying the inevitable, which is people actually facing those evictions. I mean, 66% of Americans, homeowners and renters, are pretty substantial numbers, and if we don't have anything in place to provide relief, to get people new jobs, to ease that burden that people are facing financially, then it's going to be tough for President Trump to go into the election and say that I am the president who can, or who has held up the economy. The stock market doesn't necessarily reflect the lives of the average American. We've seen just yesterday we were talking about automation. Companies who don't have a lot of employees are able to be extremely successful. They don't have to have a bunch of employees. They don't have to make a bunch of widgets. They're selling technology. They're selling data. There's not necessarily a lot of moving parts in many of these companies' operations, and they're able to be extremely profitable, more so than companies that have those, who are producing those widgets. So, simply saying the stock market is doing well isn't really an effective way to say that we are financially successful as a country, especially when they're selling their product. Many companies are selling all over the world. They're not necessarily relying on the U.S. consumers. So I got to give the man props, man. He showed up. I didn't see this coming. I did see that he offered like $40 million to, I think he said to Kenosha for various measures to, help the police departments and things like that. Like, he's showing up. He's showing up. And once again, Joe Biden is not. He's in the basement. Well, he's on the plane now, I guess, but he's in the wrong place at the wrong time. And, he'd better step it up, because it's hard to make a case for Joe Biden, and it gets harder every single day. So with that said, I would love to hear what you guys think about this. Is this enough? Is this plenty? Are you surprised? Were you expecting this? I know he proposed this initially. I think he mentioned it like August 17th or so, but he came through right on time. So let me know what you guys think. I'd love to hear what you guys think in the comment section below. If you like this video, make sure you give it a like, subscribe for more. I'll see you guys in the next one.